Welcome. Scott here. Here is a quick boss guide for the upcoming Lost Chapter event featuring the returning Sice from Final Fantasy Type 0. The event synergy units are Sice, 8, Lann Reynn and Penelo. Sice FR will be making its debut. Sice and the twins will be getting their force enhancements. The twins will be getting their rework as well. We will be fighting 2 Crâne Cruel, which has 130 million HP each. They are weak against the dark element. The turn requirement is 60. The HP requirements is 8000. Before I continue further, here is a small disclaimer clause for the video. The guide is written based on the time that the event was released for the Japanese version. Please do note that it is possible that the boss fight mechanics might differ when the actual event is released in global. Like most other Shinryu fights, the boss gains increased brave damage and gain resistances at start of the fight and 79% HP threshold. Bringing a support like Lunafreya, Charlotta, Aerith, Ramza, Yuna, Iroha, Penelo, Selpha that grants damage boosting aura will make your fight easier. As the boss gains substantial boost to their defenses with the auras, it is important to inflict debuffs that lower their defenses. On the screen I have listed down the key utility that you can consider when forming your party for this fight. Depending on your team comp, the types of utility will differ a lot. The fight features a lot of turn rate and speed down mechanics from the force gauge effects along with the debuffs inflicted by the bosses. The boss can manipulate the turn orders and activate HP shields at certain HP thresholds. As the boss is weak against dark, you can bring dark elemental units like Sice, Leon, Xanda or Dark Knight Cecil. Dark Knight Cecil will be getting his FR and rework in the coming weeks. As the boss will be bound to get their turns, an off-turn oriented setup will be heavily favored here. Counter units like Glove, Gladio, Orin, 8 and Core works well here. One of the boss basic move grants a Brave Regen buff that scales off its max Brave and they can enact HP shields at the 79% and 39% HP thresholds. You can handle this by using trap debuff units or ignore defense counter mechanics. Examples of units with ignore defense mechanics are Beatrix, Machina, Orin, 8, Strago and the twins. You can also use gravity-based attacks or instant break mechanics to make your job breaking the bosses easier. Trap debuff units like Machina, Beatrix, Sice, Ace, Celis, and Laguna also works well here. The upcoming BT unit Ash is also great for this fight for her turn manipulation and follow-up attacks with her BT aura. She can also disable them with her on-demand paralysis. If you are doing a nuke run, you might want to use AoE turn delayers. Other than Sice, you can consider using Quistis, Cypher, Sync, Seymour, Dark Knight Cecil or Cloud. As we are no longer have Lufania Plus fights, the boss guide will be focused primarily on Shinryu fights. In Shinryu, you need to understand the effects gained by the boss as the force gauge build up, its force ability and its force time effect. If you don't bring any force chargers, it is highly certain that the boss force gauge will build up faster than yours. To have a better understanding on the basics of the force gauge mechanics and Shinryu fights, I have done a video explaining the mechanics. I have included the link to the video under the comments and video description for your quick reference. When the force gauge is between 0% to 30%, it will reduce your party speed by 30%. When the force gauge is equal or greater than 30%, it will further reduce your party speed by 50%. When the force gauge is 50% to 100%, it will reduces the turn rate of your party by 50%. The boss force gauge will build up faster as its HP is lowered. You can refer to the table on the screen for the percentages. At the 100% threshold, the main boss will use its force ability, Curse Skull++. The boss force ability, Curse Skull++ is a reset break status, AoE Brave plus HP attack. It will also inflicts 50% HP damage down debuff for 5 turns. The boss will gain a yellow aura. The force ability will get upgraded upon consecutive uses. When the boss is emitting the yellow aura and its force time is triggered, the boss will use Cursed Skull +++ as its force ability. Cursed Skull +++ is the same attack as Cursed Skull ++ except it will grants the boss party a 50% brave damage up. The aura will gets upgraded from yellow to red. When the boss is emitting the red aura and its force time is triggered, it will use Cursed Skull ++++ where it will buff wipe your party and KO your entire party. Upon using the force ability, the boss will enter into its force time where the gauge will start to emit a red hue with a counter of 2 on its gauge. When the force time is activated, the boss will gain the following enhancements. All your character's turn will get delayed by 1 after they act. To deal force weakness on the boss, you need to use a Dark Elemental Force ability that delays the target turn by 3. Upon using this, you remove the boss colored aura that it gains from using its force ability. Only Sice FR will meet this condition. Now let's go through the fight key mechanics. When you have reached the following HP thresholds, 79%, 49%, and 29%, the boss will activate Cut in Turn order. The boss will move its turn before the target's turn. Upon activating, you will see the boss inserting its turn in between your party turns. At the 79% and 39% HP thresholds, you will see the following prompt activated: become immune to a certain amount of HP damage. The boss will enact a 1 million HP shield. If you don't remove the shield, the boss will enter into readying rising uppercut stance where it will reflect any debuffs that you party inflict back to your party. The stance will only be broken when you break the shields. It is worth noting that I didn't see the rising uppercut stance triggered in any video runs that I have watched while doing research on the fight. There is a possibility that this fight mechanic might not be applicable for the Shinryu stage. The boss has a standard attack rotation. It will start off with Cursed Skull to Cruel Skull and followed by Dark Impact. After Dark Impact, it will revert back to Cursed Skull. All the abilities can inflict a frame debuff. Cursed Skull can lower your damage with a 30% HP damage down debuff. If you are playing the hit and counter game, it is highly recommended to bring a debuff evasion unit so you can avoid the trouble of those debuffs blocking of your buff slots. If you are using an off-turn FR, these debuffs will actually be more beneficial as it give the enemy more turns to milk more HP damage bonus out of the force time. Before I end the guide, let's cover a bit on the featured FR unit. Sice is another Shinryu solo specialist. She has 100% evasion buff on her S1 which allows her to solo content that doesn't feature any guaranteed hit attacks. Her trap debuffs will trigger on all actions except for actions taken during burst. Her FR will delay the target turn by 3 turns. It will also raises the party max brave cap by 50%. Your party will also gain 50% HP damage bonus if they are dealing weakness brave damage. Now let's briefly go through her force condition. 1. Deal dark element damage. Off-turn damage will fulfill the condition as well. Fulfilling this condition will give you 5% HP damage bonus. Sice traps debuffs are dark elemental and they will fulfill this condition as long as they are active. You can abuse non-elemental off-turn attacks with party dark enchant, Xanda or Shant Auto BT Aura. Follow-up attackers, Kain, Freya, counter tanks like Gladio, trap debuffers like Machina, Ace, Leon, and special effect attackers like Core and Vivi are good FR partners with Sice. 2. The character acting has an active stage-based buff or special effect. Meeting this condition will grant you 40% HP damage bonus. Sice will meet this condition as she has a special overhead buff. To meet this condition, the character taking the turn needs to have buff slot, stacking framed buff, special effect, overhead buffs, call effect, for example Garland, or Redia, or active BT effect. Do note that the condition only applies to the BT unit that activate the BT aura. Generally, Sice is a great trap debuff unit. In a normal party setup, she complements well as third unit. She can solo Shinryu as long the boss doesn't absorb dark or have guaranteed hit KO attacks. She is a valuable unit for newcomers. Other than this event, she can also solo the upcoming Heretics event as well. With this, I have come to the end of my boss guide presentation. Hopefully you find it useful. If you like the video, please give a like. Please subscribe to my channel for future gaming content. Good luck for the fight in the coming days. Bye.